Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm just going to be answering a bunch of questions for you today, so stay tuned till the end. I will be answering about 8 questions today. So the first is, my fiance and I both moved to Canada on separate closed work permits, intra-company transferred. We got married in Ontario a few months back. Can she apply for spousal open work permit? Absolutely, she can. Go ahead and congratulations on your wedding. I'm on a closed work permit. My wife and son are also in Canada on a closed work permit and study visa. Me and my wife are working in different IT companies, and our ICT work permit is independent. My query is, can I apply for an open work permit as a dependent under my spouse's closed work permit, and vice versa, as we both are already in Canada, not sure if we can have two work permits at the same time. Now, the answer is you can have two work permits at the same time. That's not an issue. But the issue will arise when you're applying for PR. So depending on who has the better opportunity, who has the better salary, who has the better points, if one has 200 points versus 50 points, then the one who has 50 points, I think it makes sense for them to apply as a dependent, right? And get the open work permit. So he or she can actually go ahead and work for any other employer if they're having issues with their employer right now, if they're not liking their job, or if they feel stuck with their employment. But I just would like to remind you that when you're looking to apply for PR, you're on an intra-company transfer visa. You will have to be on the closed work permit working for that particular employer for you to be able to gain that points. Okay, so if you are going to convert yourself to an open work permit, make sure that you know that it's dependent on the closed work permit. Okay, so if you are sort of not working for that employer and you are using the open work permit to go work somewhere else, it sort of beats the purpose, because you both got your open work permits based on that closed work permit that you already have. So just keep this in mind, and sort of tread carefully if you're going to apply for PR later on as well. Is it problematic if I am with the same employer on a closed work permit but doing a different job with them? Now, how different is the job is the question, because your work permit typically is tied to that particular knock code, right? And when you're applying for PR, for example, you'll have to get that letter from the employer that confirms that confirms your current roles and responsibilities. And if they are giving you a letter that is significantly different from the knock code that you were initially given the work permit for, then you can have issues getting your PR. Okay. But if you're not applying for PR, it's still a very good idea on the overall, even though you can just continue to do slightly different modifications to your work. A lot of people do that without applying for a new work permit. But all you have to do is just apply for that change of conditions of your work permit. Now, again, it depends on how drastically different your responsibilities are. Say you were hired to do a job of a developer, but then you are doing a job of, I don't know, an architect, for example. So completely different in terms of job responsibilities and duties, and the entire knock code is different as well. So just be careful, because you will have issues when you're applying for PR, unless you have an employer who sort of understands and is able to give you the letter based on your initial knock code. But if you ask me, it's just better to just do everything above board and keeping everything clean to make sure you're not going to have any issues with your PR application. I am an international student expected to graduate in December 2023, and I have a prospective employer interested in facilitating a closed work permit for me. I would appreciate guidance on whether I should apply for a postgraduate work permit separately. Additionally, is it possible for the employer to handle the process directly from the study permit to the closed work permit without my individual PGWP application? Now, yes, absolutely. To answer your second question first, you don't need to have a PGWP for your employer to, get your LMIA and give you a closed work permit, okay? So most times what clients do is they do multiple things. They first get their PGWP because it's an open work permit. It allows you to work with any employer. So you can choose to work with the employer that's offering you the job. And then employers go ahead and support your PR application through the LMIA. Right now, that LMIA for your PR application gives you the 50 extra points. Now, whether or not to go ahead and apply for a closed work permit using that LMIA is your decision, because most times if you get 2 years of postgraduate work permit, you have a time limit to apply for the postgraduate work permit, right? So you rather just apply and keep it handy Okay, so if things don't go right with this employer, for any reason you need to change the job, at least you don't feel stuck with this employer, right? But it's a great thing that he's offering you the LMI and he's offering you the closed work permit option, but you don't have to take the closed work permit option. You can still get just the LMIA, for which you can get the 50 points, and then you can go ahead and apply for your PGWP application. Most times, when and why the closed work permit really helps is, say your PGWP is about to expire in about 3 months, 4 months. There is no public policy allowing you to extend your postgraduate work permit, right? Now, in that case, if the employer has already given you an LMIA, with using that, you can apply for a closed work permit. So you get to stay in Canada for longer and work for that employer for a longer period of time while you're applying or deciding to apply for your PR. Hope that helps. Okay, now moving on to the next question. I have a query regarding ICT work permit. Can Canadian company purchase an existing similar type of business instead of starting from scratch? Is this allowed? Now, the most important thing for the intra-company transfer is to have a parent subsidiary or a parent affiliate relationship. A branch is something that's not that widely used because of the informal nature of the structure. So it's really subsidiary and affiliate. So because we have to create this sort of a relationship, what we can do is, if you find an existing business here, that the business has to very intricately align with the business that the parent entity is doing back home. Okay, first, that is the case. Second, you can have the parent entity sort of purchase shares in the new business here in Canada, or say you have two directors in the parent entity and one of you are looking to come here to Canada to do the ICT. Then when you are structuring the corporation, so when you're purchasing this entity, you want to make sure that one of you or both of you are directors and shareholders of the Canadian company as well, right? So as long as there is a subsidiary relationship, or it could even be a part subsidiary, part affiliate relationship. So it all depends on how closely the business here in Canada aligns with the business that the parent entity is in. Hope that answered your question. The next question, I'm having a student permit holder, and is there a possibility that I could change it to an open work permit? I am 21 years old and I haven't started going to school because I need to finish some class first. Do you have any tips on what I can do to change my work permit? Now, if you are on a study permit and if you haven't even started going to school, I'm sorry, there is really no way to just convert a study permit to a work permit. Okay, the only thing you can do is start going to school, and when you're enrolled in a designated learning institution, DLI, then you're able to work without a work permit in that case. But until then, you just have to stay put. There is just no way to convert student permit to a work permit as of now. On to the next question. Can I change a study-dependent open work permit to a closed work permit? I think what you're asking is, can you change your PGWP, that is postgraduate work permit, to a closed work permit, and why not? So if you want to see, nobody converts PGWP to a closed work permit, right? So if you are on a PGWP and your employer is sort of telling you that he'll support your PR application by going ahead and getting the LMIA done, which is the labor market impact assessment, with the approval of the LMIA, you automatically get the 50 extra points to apply for your PR, right? Now, a lot of people, they use that LMIA to go ahead and apply for a closed work permit. But if you do that, then you sort of are, working for that one particular employer. If you're using the closed, whoever gave you the LMIA, if you're going ahead and applying for the closed work permit, then you are basically working for just that one employer. Now, the PGWP obviously allows you to work for any employer out there, right? Most people actually just get the LMIA to apply for their PR, and that's it. They don't go ahead and apply for the work permit, because you don't have to apply for the work permit to get the 50 points. So it's two separate things, and I did explain this in my videos before. So a lot of people go ahead and apply for the closed work permit only if their PGWP is sort of about to expire. If that's not the case, then don't even worry about applying for the open work permit, the closed work permit, because with the LMIA, you get the 50 points, you apply for PR, and once you get the ITA, if you meet the points and you get the ITA, you can submit the application for PR, right? You get 60 days to submit the application, and after that, you can just go ahead and apply for a bridging open work permit, right? So this way you can completely avoid applying for the closed work permit and feeling stuck with that one employer. Okay, that would be my advice. On to our last question for today. I came here on a closed work permit, LMIA, of 3 years, and after a full year, my employer said, I will not continue giving you salary because I can't afford it. I know an employer who's going to commence a new business next month. Can a new business employer issue me a new LMIA, or should they wait for 1 year before issuing someone an LMIA? Okay. First of all, I'm really sorry what you have to go through with this employer. So I'm going to answer this question in a few different sections. The first, to answer your last question first, a new business cannot issue an LMIA. They have to be in operation for at least 1 year to 18 months. In fact, sometimes even 2 years, so that they have enough revenues and enough growth in the business that they can basically say that they can go ahead and apply for an LMIA. Again, depending on the kind of business that this is in, depending on how niche the area is that they are operating in. So a few factors apply. But if it's a brand new business and he hasn't even commenced his business right now, he has no revenues, no money, there is no way he's going to be able to give you that LMIA. He has to try and hire someone locally first for at least the first year before he can do that. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, it's very sad that your employer had to bring you on a 3-year LMIA, and then finally he's just saying, okay, he can't afford it, he can't pay your salary anymore. So depending on what your situation is and what you are going through right now, your current circumstances, you may be eligible for the open work permit for vulnerable workers, right? So you can talk about how you feel abused in your position, how the employer is not suddenly paying you, they're letting you go without any notice, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you have some pictures of your work conditions. You could consider applying for that open work permit for vulnerable workers. And in the description below, I'm going to give you a link. Okay, so you click on that link and you just follow the instructions and you will be able to apply for this work permit. You don't really need to hire anybody to do this for you. It's as simple as just completing some information, providing them with evidence, and these work permits are, it's an open work permit, right? So you are able to then work for any other employer you want. So you definitely have to consider that.